everyone, welcome back to But Why the podcast where every week me, Kate, Adrian, and Matt talk about different things in pop culture that people say matter and ask the question, but why though? Before we get started, we want to make sure you head on over to our social media pages at But Why Though PC on Twitter, Facebook.com/But Why Though PC, and of course our Twitch channel where we stream video games and, just have fun. Twitch.tv/But Why Though PC. And if you're feeling a little generous and want to support us a little bit more, head on over to Patreon, where you get show extras, shows a couple of days early, as well as all the fun perks that you can find at patreon.com/butwhythoughpc. And as always, thank you for tuning in, rate, review, and subscribe to us on iTunes. It helps other people find us. And that's all I have. So enjoy the show. And today we are welcoming you to Jurassic Park. As always, I'm your host Kate, and I'm here with Adrian.
Hey, how's it going?
And Matt.
Hello.
But before we get into all of the awesome dinosaur things, we want to give a big warm welcome to the Safari Zone podcast. They are a Pokemon podcast. They're amazing. Say welcome, guys.
Welcome, and we're going to talk about Jurassic Park while you guys do Safari Park.
The Safari Zone. Yeah, we're super excited to have them. With all the Pokemon stuff coming out, I'm sure y'all are going to have so much to talk about, and we are excited to have you join our Elite Four of podcasts. We're only at 3, though.
We're at 3,
I was like, what?
We need one more.
I was like, what?
I'm just...
And that could be you.
Yeah, that could be you, if you really want to.
But yeah, no, thanks. Their most recent episode, they talked about what they would do if they were in a Pokemon world. I don't want to be in a Pokemon world because
we're going to be in a Jurassic World now.
We are. Okay, listen to their promo, and then we'll be right back.
Hello, everybody. My name is Ash.
My name is Maggie.
I'm Peter.
And we're the Safari Zone podcast, a Pokemon podcast that talks about pretty much anything and everything Pokemon related.
I'm the show's anime expert.
I'm all about the video games.
I'm just the all-around jack of all trades at Pokemon.
Make sure to subscribe to us on iTunes and YouTube. We have new episodes every Thursday.
So, because he's a scientist, and because the only DVD he owns is Jurassic Park.
I actually own the VHS of this.
Okay, the only DVD and VHS
like,
he owns is Jurassic Park.
I was thinking, did they have DVDs yet when this was out?
Matt is going to be leading us through this wonderful world. Go ahead and take it over.
Is it really wonderful?
In theory, yes.
Okay, so I guess as we start the question, since Kate has gotten lazy on actually asking the question, now
I haven't
makes
done
us,
that for like 6 episodes.
I know, exactly. Have you guys, have you watched the Jurassic Park, the original, and have you consumed anything other than, like, the movies?
Yes, I've watched Jurassic Park, the original. I actually thought, so this movie came out in 1990. I was born in 93, so I was, really young when I saw it. And I thought that the actors legit died in this movie. I thought, they legit got ate by dinosaurs. And that, the money they made just went to their family. So when Samuel Jackson, died, I was like, dang, Samuel Jackson's family must be getting paid bad for him to be sacrificed to some dinosaurs. Other than, the movies, I'm sure I've played some games. I've played, Peter Piper had, the Jurassic Park game where you shot raptors and stuff. But I've never read the book, and I don't know if there's any other media other than that, but I'm sure we'll find out.
Yeah, so I love the movies. I've seen all of them multiple times. Fun fact, our dog freaks out at the sound of a T-Rex. Don't know why, and it's not even a scared freak out. But I've read the book. It's been years since I read it. And I've played a few of the video games because my brother was like deathly afraid of dinosaurs, and like I loved them, and so I made him play it, which my mom didn't like. And then watched all the Lego shorts because the Lego ones are really good. But I think those are like the Jurassic World ones.
Those are new.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I love Jurassic Park. So
the fun story to start this of Jurassic Park is, one, this is definitely the only VHS and DVD I own. It's my favorite movie. Do not own any of the other ones. And I've actually not really watched many of the other ones, as we'll get into later. But fun fact, my stepmom had a concussion, and I kept doing the raptor part of shoot her, and I did it so many times that I got embedded because she was having brain problems because she had a concussion, and to this day she never lets it down, and she still hates me and hates this entire movie because all she thinks about is, shoot her, shoot her. But apparently if you do that to somebody over and over while they have a concussion, they can probably go insane. So I do not recommend it.
how old were you?
Probably like 8.
I don't even know what to say to that.
I just can't stop laughing.
I have a lot of fun facts about Jurassic
also-
Park with childhood.
Also, Adrian is starting his move to Austin, so we get him here for this recording. So if I'm laughing over his voice or anybody's voice, it's because we're only on one track today. And Matt is saying, shoot her.
John, you can ask her about it. She still hates me for that. Apparently, you don't get concussions.
Adrian just looks freaked out. And it's like happy he's
It's like
never
you-
been injured.
Like, you just ruined this whole movie, like this wonderful piece of cinema, because you were 8 and couldn't let this go.
It's Matt, though. Are we surprised that child Matt did that?
No. I thought this was adult Matt who did this, so I guess I'm less surprised that child Matt did it.
That's why I asked the age.
It all makes sense now.
Does it? Cool. All right, so basically we're going to do this a little bit we're going to start off with a little bit of background of where at Jurassic Park and kind of the concept, and then we'll kind of get into what people, I guess, know as Jurassic Park. So one, this is basically the background is Jurassic Park came out in 1990, and it was a book written by
Michael Crichton.
Yeah, Michael Crichton, I had to get the name right. And he's also apparently a big sci-fi thing, notable for
It
like
might be Crichton.
Crichton.
It's Crichton.
I was like, I don't know how to
Yeah,
pronounce it.
John Michael Crichton. Yeah.
Yeah. But basically it's notable for like the Andromeda Strain, which I actually love that movie, and stuff which I haven't seen in a long time. Congo, The Lost World, which is obviously the sequel, and Sphere, which also I really enjoy that movie. He's also had a lot of weird debates, but yeah, interesting guy.
What debates?
So a lot of his viewpoints on science and some of the stuff, which when he writes about a lot of this stuff in here, weird, because he's actually kind of more of a science climate denier, but he's not to the extreme. But then as more of the thing of we shouldn't be investing our time and money on this because it's not as important as other things.
Okay, I'm sure you're going to go into the background as to why it was written, so I'll bring that up then. I'll ask my question then.
Oh, I was
Like
not going to
the
go.
concept of it.
Oh, and the concept, actually what he wrote?
Well, like, I'm not surprised to hear that he's kind of, like, anti-science, or at least not put money in science, because, like, the Jurassic Park is a standpoint that you should not be fucking with the world. Essentially.
Okay.
Okay, sorry.
Is it like a science background, or is he just an author?
Just an author.
Oh, okay, cool.
He just writes a
Cool,
lot of science.
So either way, his voice doesn't matter when it
so
comes to science.
So his opinion is wrong because he doesn't
Exactly.
have anything. Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Anyways, basically Universal Studios actually bought the rights to Jurassic Park before this book was even published in 1990. So, yeah. So the movie actually doesn't come out till 1993 with the original one. Universal Studios bought the rights in 1990 before based on a book in later of 1990.
I mean, dinosaurs, dude.
Yeah, which we'll get into thing. So what is Jurassic Park, the concept? What is Jurassic Park, like the concept that he actually wrote this book on? So I'll go basically a brief thing. Basically, to summarize, it's a cautionary tale about genetic engineering to illustrate the mathematical the mathematical concept of chaos theory and its real-world implications. And for those of you that do not know what chaos theory is, I'll do a little brief thing, which is actually pretty fun to have these conversations, but we don't have enough time for all this. So if we do another podcast on just chaos theory, that'd be awesome. But anyways.
If anybody wants to come do a crossover episode with Matt on chaos theory and Ian Malcolm, feel free to let us know.
Well, so anyways, basically chaos theory, to summarize, it's a branch of mathematics focusing on the behavior of dynamical systems that are highly sensitive to initial conditions. Basically, it teaches us to expect the unexpected things, and it studies basically things we can't control or predict, kind of like with precision, kind of like the weather. If you ever heard of the butterfly effect, that's also kind of in there based on things of basically you can change little small things of initial conditions that eventually have greater effects down the line that you may not see.
So like the Ashton Kutcher movie.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the whole point of the butterfly effect, which is in here.
I just wanted to see how you responded to me citing the Ashton Kutcher movie.
Yeah, well, the first one wasn't bad. The other movies that went straight to DVD are awful.
What's the other one? The Sound of Thunder?
The Sound of Thunder,
That
I
one's
believe,
amazing.
is an amazing
Wait,
one.
What?
Huh?
There were other
Yeah,
butterfly
they're like
effect
4.
movies?
Yeah, there's like 4
Was
of them.
Ashton Kutcher in all of them?
No.
I was about to say, like, what? I didn't
Yeah,
even
no,
know there
there's
was
literally
more of
like,
these
I think
movies.
4...
The second one's actually not that bad.
No.
For a straight to DVD movie, not that bad.
I can't get past the dog scene in the first one, so I don't even want to know what's in the other ones.
Yeah. Now I forget where I was going.
Chaos Theory.
But no, yes, The Sound of Thunder is, I believe, is the other short story, which is actually really good. The movie's not that bad. It's not amazing.
It's
but
just nowhere near the short story.
The best part about that movie is towards the end when they realize that the whole goal is to have to reverse all this thing. And so they just know that, like, when people die, they just don't even care at the end. They're like, oh,
Yeah.
they're coming back. And so people are just dying left and right, and they're just running off like, oh, I lost my family member. Screw them. We got to keep moving. Because they know the whole goal is to get back. But it's just kind of funny watching them as they progress. Because at first, the first death, they're like, oh my gosh. And then by the third, like, oh, this person got eaten. We don't care at all. That's the sad part of the one takeaway I took away from that movie.
This episode's going to
Doesn't-
go very dark.
Yeah, I was like, this is not for me. Not for me.
But anyway, so basically, as far as so that was the concept of Jurassic Park. But basically, the way the book starts off, billionaire John Hammond decides to build amusement or / theme park / zoo of genetically engineered cloned dinosaurs on an isolated island. He basically invites people out for a weekend to visit for reassurance after basically they have an incident that happens where the investors are spooked. And this includes Ian Malcolm, the mathematician, and chaos theorist, which everybody knows as Jeff Goldblum in the movie.
Ian Malcolm is one of the best characters of anything ever. Mostly because he's Jeff Goldblum. Continue.
Yeah, and basically they go out to check it, and they find out that Dennis Nedry, basically Newman. I don't actually know I don't know the guy's actual name. I just call him Newman. From
I think
Seinfeld.
that's what everybody calls him because I don't
I'm
know
sorry,
him other than Newman.
but you're Newman. Sabotages the power of the park while stealing frozen embryos, which lead to the dinosaurs getting out, and obviously the rest is history.
2 things. My grandpa had the shaving cream can that he puts it in, and so I always, I got in a lot of trouble because I broke a couple of those, trying to see if there was something in there. Secondly, every time I'd watch Seinfeld with my dad, I would ask if they were going to put Newman in jail or why is he alive, and then when my dad said that that's not the same person, so of course he's alive, a dinosaur didn't really eat them, then I started asking if they were going to put him in jail. Kind of akin to Adrian thinking Samuel Jackson is really
so
dead.
I just want to say that 2 out of 3 of us thought people actually got ate in that movie. That's how good this movie was, and how much I thought actual dinosaurs were killing people. And I also thought that because my grandpa had those things too, and I was like, that's cool. I can put stuff in it.
Yeah.
And that's not how that works.
You actually can buy those, but they're mainly used for drugs.
Yeah.
Fun facts with that.
Not wrong.
Concussions, drugs, chaos theory.
Yes. Okay, so that's basically where it starts off with and how the book is and where they basically Universal Studios had to work with and ran with. So it leads us to the Jurassic Park media franchise. While a little obscure, there is technically a universe in this whole thing. You just probably don't see it, which I'll talk about. Yeah.
I just realized that although I did believe that dinosaurs were hurting people, I was not scared of them. I didn't believe that they would actually eat me.
Yeah, I wasn't scared of him. I was like, man, these actors are dedicated. That's some dedication right there.
They signed up to...
I wasn't scared. I wasn't scared. I could walk outside. I don't see no dinosaurs. But I was like, man, I don't know where they did this or what documentary I'm watching.
I actually thought it was really cool when the guy got eaten off the toilet.
Don't worry, that was the one thing that everybody
was
laughed
one
about
of my
in
favorite
school.
things growing up.
Was we cheered on how the guy got eaten off the toilet.
I was sad about Samuel.
Yeah, his arm just
Toilet
falls
Man,
out.
no.
Man.
One, I did not actually realize that was Samuel L. Jackson until probably about 10 years later.
Yeah.
Despite watching the movie, I've seen that movie at least probably about 35
I'm
times.
actually surprised we didn't watch it before this.
I don't need to. I can probably do it.
Yeah, this is like one of my top 10 favorite movies, and I've watched it repeatedly when I was a kid. Even after I figured out the dinosaurs weren't actually eating people, it was still good after that.
So I guess there's a reason my brother isn't my best friend, but like he was that in the third movie. Is it the third or second movie where they have all the pterodactyls coming out? The third one. Yeah, that scared the shit out of him, and I told him it was real, and that may be why we have some strain in our relationship. He was terrified of dinosaurs.
Which is actually, when you look at some of the studies they've done, it's actually very rare.
Dinosaurs being scared of?
No, kids not liking dinosaurs.
Oh wow, that's actually weird. I actually have a friend on Facebook who made a Facebook post. Before you share anything about Jurassic Park, please make it so that I can't see it, because she's like deathly afraid of dinosaurs.
No, I think they said almost like 2/3 of children with love from the studies they've done. Like I think it's almost 2/3, I want to believe, of children like love dinosaurs and find this very interesting concept in this high moments where they usually enjoy it for 6 months to about 3 years. Why they have this heightened intense love for dinosaurs for some reason.
That's really. I mean, they're big animals.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did anybody ever go to the Discovery store and play with the bones? They have bones in a thing, and you could be an archaeologist and brush them off.
Can I talk about the actual media franchise now?
Yeah, let's talk about it, because we can talk about Jurassic Park 3
yes.
being a terrible movie.
I know, that's what I'm saying. We will get there.
That movie so much.
Yes. So anyways, the Jurassic Park media franchise, which apparently is a universe. The movie started in 1993, and now with the new reboot, basically present to present day, with Fallen Kingdom coming out, I believe, one day after this is released.
And we're going to see it tonight, because we have... Or the day that this release, we'll be seeing it. Because this is our first time we get press passes.
Stefani has tickets for Tuesday.
So where'd she get the tickets for Tuesday?
I have no idea. She's like,
So-
I'm going to go see it Tuesday.
So I'm in a lot of drawings for Tuesday's drawing, but they're not announced yet until I think Sunday.
Yeah, I don't know.
So I'll find out Saturday, Sunday.
I told her that Matt put the links in the thing, and when she checked it, that she could go see it, because she said that you didn't tell her. I'll cut this all out. That we had got it early.
Oh, because I'd already gotten the tickets when they first went on sale, because I wanted the cup, because the cup looks dope.
The cup looks dope.
Cup's already sold out.
Yeah.
Okay. Is this how it's going to happen now? Y'all going to be all fired from the damn
This
podcast.
is how it always happens on every episode.
So, as I said, movies from 1993 to present, with Fallen Kingdom coming out, the newest Jurassic World 2, on June 22nd, pretty much a day before, or day after this is released. There apparently are 5 movies out, including that newest one, with another one set to be released in 2021. Apparently there are 2 trilogies set up. So now we have the OT, and we have the whatever they want to call the next trilogy thing, even bobber.
ST.
Sure.
The sequel
sequel
trilogy.
trilogy.
There you go.
Jurassic Park.
Yes. So we start off with the movie Jurassic Park 1993 with the everybody knows this one, Rotten Tomatoes score of 92, IMDb's of 8.1, which is apparently at this point amazing for IMDb.
Yeah.
And
I feel like it should be higher on Rotten Tomatoes, though.
Yeah, well, this was also everybody backdating a lot of stuff too. And then we have The Lost World, Jurassic Park in 1997, with a Rotten Tomatoes score of 63, IMDb of 6.5.
I like that one a lot.
I hate that one.
I love
I don't
that
hate it,
one.
but I don't really care
I just
for
don't
it.
remember it, and it's never on TV. The next one you're going to talk about, I don't understand why this one keeps getting played on TV all the time.
So, the next one is Jurassic Park 3 in 2001. I hate this movie. I hate this movie a lot. And Rotten Tomatoes score of 53, IMDb of 5.9.
It's annoying, and I don't know. I'm trying to remember the actress's name, but all she does is scream Alan, Alan every 5 seconds on a place filled with dinosaurs. Are you stupid? I'm surprised she didn't get eaten in the first 5 minutes of that movie.
See, that's why I like The Lost World, because Jeff Goldblum has already been there before, and it shows what happens when you do stupid things in the jungle with the people that are also there with them, and then Jeff Goldblum's gymnastics daughter is awesome.
Jurassic Park 3 is just terrible. I don't understand why it gets played on TNT all the time
don't
compared to the other ones that are compared to Jurassic Park, which is obviously better.
Yeah,
but this one, I see this one
less
on TV.
royalty money.
All of it, maybe
They probably get Jurassic Park 3 at a cheaper price than the other 2.
Yes, which then lead to the kind of the reboot after 14 years, or the extended part, not the reboot, but I guess the extension of Jurassic World in 2015 with the Rotten Tomatoes score of 71 and an IMDb of 7.0. And then, as I said, Jurassic Park, or Jurassic World 2 coming out.
Fallen Kingdom.
And then apparently there is a Jurassic World 3 coming.
I like Jurassic World, except those kids were way more annoying than the kids in the first movie.
Yes. So, we also apparently they have a lot of video games because we need to talk about all of their media franchise, and there's actually kind of a lot of them, but depends on how you count them and whether they're important. So I only did a few of them because some of these I never even understood, and a lot of them are like random like PC games that you found back in the early 90s where you plugged in the floppy disk apparently or something like that. But the first one, Jurassic Park 1993 came out, game for the Super Nintendo, which I've actually played this one. And then you had Jurassic Park 2, Chaos Continues in 1995. The Lost World Jurassic Park 1997, I don't remember that one. Apparently there was a Jurassic Park 3 game in 2001, which I don't recall. There's a bunch of very ones. I think there's another Operation one, which you kind of have the park building. Then you have Jurassic Park, the game in 2011.
I played that one.
Which is kind of the newest one. Then you have the Lego Jurassic World in 2015. And then there's actually one that just came out the week before on June 6th. I guess give rating Jurassic World Evolution, which is an RTS where you build your own park. Which is
so awesome.
Which I've been watching and looks amazing.
I saw Triceratops trample people yesterday.
Yes.
And then apparently people are like building their dinosaur stuff and then like letting their dinosaurs loose once they get it like filled in with people and letting their dinosaurs eat people.
Well, one, apparently that's part of the goals and missions for security to test security.
See if they can stop dinosaurs?
Yes.
And sacrifice people.
Well,
If
you're not
the
supposed
movie-
to. You're not supposed to let them actually eat the people, but sometimes mistakes happen.
I would let them eat the. If it is a goat or a person, I'm gonna let them eat the people.
They eat a lot of goats.
Yeah, they eat a lot of goats. Yeah, I mean, I don't think I've played. Now that I'm looking at this, I don't think I've played any of these. Just the arcade, like, rail shooter, like, where you sat.
Yeah,
and,
I remember that
Oh,
one.
that one's fun.
Yeah, in the arcade. That's the only one that I remember, like, distinctly because those raptors sucked.
He said I didn't put that one in there, but there are a ton of like smaller
Yeah.
ones
Arcade
that just
games.
I don't even know how much is actually part of Jurassic Park.
It's just
threw a
crazy
name on.
because I was looking it up on Wikipedia to make sure I said the name right, and it came out in like '94, so it came out a year after Jurassic Park did, and it just stayed in like Peter Piper pizzas and Chuck E. Cheese's like all this time, and like hasn't gone anywhere. So it's crazy like how that arcade game is still relevant.
Yeah. And then we have two short films, which Kate mentioned earlier. They're both Lego Jurassic Worlds, and they have the Indominus Escape and Employee Safety video.
The employee safety video is so good.
Yes.
I can put a clip of that in the show notes.
And then apparently there have been some comic books as well. There have been 2 runs/comic. I don't know whether these are comics or they're comic adaptations of like stuff. It's kind of weird because I think some of them are like 130 pages. It's really
It could be a trade volume.
Yeah, so I'm not really sure. So basically it was from 93 to 97. Topps did it, which they mainly did adaptations of Jurassic Park and the Jurassic World with obviously several tie-ins. Then IDW Comics from 2010 to get technically the present, mainly from 2010 to 2012. And then they took a hiatus, but since with Jurassic World come back, they've written more.
Given the company names that you gave, I'm gonna say that they're trade volumes because they probably did do a single issue print. And
yeah, they're
then
like
put them
trade
into
paperbacks,
trades.
but they're supposedly comics per se or something.
Yeah,
like
no,
that.
they're still comics. So like you can go get like Ultimate X-Men, and it's like 300 pages of like all of the X-Men individual comic books that have come out over like the past 20 years.
Yeah.
So like they can like trade paperbacks can get really big. Like they're bigger than my trades, but like that's just what it sounds like.
Yeah, I think IDW, because we've talked about IDW before, and they're the ones who do like the new Transformer comics. So I think they do a lot of like movie to comic.
Yeah, they did the
stuff.
Tomb Raider ones as well, I believe.
Yeah, they also own the rights now from Topps. I believe Topps went under.
Yes, they did.
So they own the rights if they want to reprint like Jurassic Park and Jurassic World or the Lost World model. And then obviously the one that I believe a lot of people know, surprisingly, Jurassic Park: The Ride was introduced in 1996. It's a water-based roller coaster ride at Universal Studios Hollywood, which obviously has opened other places. And it's actually closing this year on September 3rd of this year to be redone, to be based on Jurassic World. So, getting to the but why though now. Basically, because I want to talk about this, I kind of want to do it quick because one, this franchise has been around, I guess, as a franchise, and so I want to talk more about a lot of the other stuff. of why it matters and explain everything. So, first part about why, though, it's technically a successful franchise. And I'm going to say this...
It's like you said technically.
I'm going to say this as a yes and somewhat of a no. So I'm going to start with the good. So the good part is Jurassic Park as a movie franchise, it banks. It makes a lot of money. So basically for only having 4 movies out, remember 4, because this is when we start running the numbers here. It's 11th domestic highest franchise at $1.45 billion. Technically, it can be dropped down to 18th, depending on whether you include the 2013 3D release of Jurassic Park, which apparently was a thing that I completely forgot about.
I don't even remember that at all.
I know. Apparently, they put it back in the theaters for, I think a week or two, and put it all in 3D.
Yeah,
Obviously,
why not just go to the Universal ride if you wanted?
yeah. So apparently, depending on whether you count that money or not, depends on whether they're 11th or 18th. That's basically because number spots 10th through 18th are separated by maybe $100 million, which in this day and age is not much.
Yeah, if your movie doesn't make $400 million coming out and it's a blockbuster,
yeah,
you failed.
Yeah. They're actually 12th worldwide for the highest franchise at $3.84 billion, which, all these are nice money. 10, 12, they only have 4 movies. The movies, there's only 4. To say this simplistically, right now, if Jurassic World 2 makes $500 million domestically, it'll move up to the 6th all-time highest grossing franchise.
Wow.
And that's what's started with 5 films, which the only ones being ahead of it will be Star Wars, which will have 9 or 10. The MCU has 18. James Bond, 20-something. Harry Potter's got 9. All the Batmans. And it'll move up to 8th worldwide. The only things that are really competing against are movies that have almost 2 or 3 more movies made.
And James Bond has 26.
Yeah. So it also, yeah. So obviously people love seeing these movies regardless. So except for 4, they got a lot of money. The main thing about this thing is basically Jurassic Park, the movie, 1993. Probably the main reason everybody's here to hear about this movie, because this movie's been groundbreaking. It's had so many things involved. So at the time, it was the number 1 all-time highest grossing movie, which is actually funny for 2 reasons. One, it only opened in 2.5K theaters, which is actually about 2K less than what the average these days.
That's tiny.
That's tiny.
And the funny thing was, it only grossed $47 million opening weekend.
Also very tiny.
But it also stayed in the top 5 for basically 9 weekends in a row. And it actually only had 3 weekends where it was number 1. So basically, it was just a completely strong contender without being a thing. And for those of you oh, what does that mean? Black Panther wasn't even in the top 5 for that many weeks in a row.
Yeah.
And that was considered a phenomenon for this huge thing of movies.
Yeah.
So it was also, I don't know if it was technically the first, but from what I found, it was the first, but definitely the most notable one. It was the first to actually make more money worldwide than domestically.
Because people love dinosaurs.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
And this is also 1993, which is considered one of the best years for movies ever.
Yeah.
Is it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
93, 94,
what else
that
comes out?
range. I can look it up. It's really weird not being on my computer look all this stuff up before I bring it up. But yeah, that's super crazy. 9 weekends in a row. What month did it come out? Do you know?
Oh, I looked this up and now I can't remember. I think it's June, actually, if I remember correctly. I believe it's actually June. I think it just came out 4 days ago. I think it's June 8th.
Yeah, because they had their 25-year anniversary recently, which I probably should have mentioned in the
June 11th. My bad.
Yeah, June 11th.
Yeah, I think it's 1994. That's the big year, but this is still the same year as Schindler's List, Groundhog Day, Matt's favorite movie, Rudy, Hocus Pocus, things like that. So there are The Sandlot. So there are movies out there.
It sounds like there's also a lot of movies and they were bringing families into the theater.
Yeah, there are a lot of family movies. Cool Runnings. A lot of good movies in 93.
Out of all time, we're in fun. When we adjust for inflation all time domestically, this is a 17th overall movie, which it may not seem low, but it's also where I get to this whole thing where we get mad about numbers. But basically, besides Titanic with 1997, Avatar 2009, and The Force Awakens, when you look adjusted for inflation, it is literally the only recent movie. Meaning, out of all the movies that's ahead of it, the other 16 movies, 3 are from the 80s and the rest are like 70s and 60s movies besides those 3 movies. Like, it's just kind of amazing, like this and Titanic, just how they stand so the test of time, a lot of things. And even at this point now becoming Avatar, of like how much they actually grossed.
I mean, and I think both of those movies you mentioned, not Avatar, age well.
Yes.
I rewatched Avatar. It did not age well.
It's boring.
It is.
It's long. It's
so
very
bad.
long.
Well, it's not. It's long, but it's long because it's boring, because it is about the standard length for like other stuff that we've talked about on the show.
Yeah. So, it's actually the number 26 worldwide all time. It was 28th. It was 26 before Infinity War and Black Panther came out in 2018. So, I'm just going to move away from movies for right now, because basically looking through all these numbers and you start looking at everything. Basically, if you came out in the last 3 years, you're pretty much probably one of the highest grossing movies because of inflation and because of how high movie ticket prices are. And it's just so if you're going to cheer about freaking records or shit, then you suck because you didn't do anything.
I mean, I think clearly Infinity War and Black Panther did something, because
Well, I know, but the problem I have with this is when you start actually looking at tickets sold, they are so far down. Like, people are not going to the movies, but we're setting record-setting movies and passing all these icon movies literally because we have such high ticket prices.
So what
the
you're
actual
saying,
price to go see Jurassic Park for the average movie during this time was $4.
So what you're saying is that we shouldn't, for like movie success, we shouldn't be looking at box office money, but box office ticket sales.
Well, for one, you probably should anyway, but to me, it's almost one of those. I think it says more about your movie if you don't make any money at this point.
Yeah.
Because you're basically, with the way blockbusters are and the way some of these franchises are, if you don't make money, it says to me more about your movie has a problem than I do with you coming out shooting out making $500 million. Because it's at this point, between like Infinity War, Black Panther, Star Wars, you're pretty much almost guaranteed that.
I mean, Deadpool made $128 million its first week as an R-rated film, so...
Yeah.
Yeah, I just don't think money's a good indicator.
Yeah.
Anymore. And I'll always just go back to, like, you can shout about money all you want, but
Fast and Furious.
Fast and Furious has 3 of the, like, top 15 grossing movies of all time. Like, it's not an indicator of, like,
so Fast and the Furious and this franchise are actually really close.
It's always
except
weird.
before you adjust for inflation.
Yeah,
but,
yeah, of course.
But worldwide, it actually gets up there. But then again, like I said, Fast and Furious also has like 3 movies on it.
It's always
exactly.
weird, because I never know if Adrian's going to pull that stat out as a good thing or a bad thing. I don't know where that punch is coming from when he pulls out.
I think it's I mean, I don't mean...
It can go both ways.
Like, I'm just like, when people are like, oh, it's amazing because it made this much money. Like, it's an amazing movie because it made this much money. I was like, no, it's just a fun movie that a lot of people are going to go back and rewatch. Like, it's not winning any Oscars.
Why?
I'm sorry.
Because the Fast and the Furious.
It's just dumb, and people like blockbuster popcorn movies, and people will go to see those. People aren't going to go watch, a sad movie in the theater. It's just not. It's not the same. It's not comparable. But a movie like this that stays like in the top for 9 weekends is a big deal. Like, yeah. I think Matt's right. We should be looking at kind of more. I think we should be looking more or less like how long can they sustain people going to the movie and watching it when so little people are actually going to the movies.
Which also leads to a different shift in culture we talked about, because as much as we say 9, like Titanic and Avatar actually held like the number 1 spot for like 15 straight week and 15 and 16 straight weekends.
Yeah.
Like, just that is so unheard of even like movies apparently are in the movie theater for 4 or 5 months from what I look up, but they're done within like 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And it's just crazy the way they've moved and shifted. Obviously, this year we had a lot of influx with the really close things, but even on your average given year, how fast things just cycle out super fast.
I can't even think of, like, I don't even, if you, like, ask me, like, what is the last movie to stay in the theaters at number 1 for 9 weeks, it probably would have to, like, go back to, like, Avatar, because I can't think of something that had that long sustainability that people kept going back and watching it over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And it stayed number 1, given, like Matt was saying, like, the blockbusters that come out basically all the time.
Yeah.
So the fact that this did, even as it's like low opening, it just the numbers don't make sense of like how.
But what I'm saying, that's what's so weird about how high this is and how much the movie is. It only had 3 weekends at number 1, but it just stayed in that top 5 range and like top 2, 3,
crazy.
like every weekend. It was like, oh, we're all gonna go see this. We're just not gonna go see it more than the new one.
If you're listening to this right now, which you probably are because you listen to my voice, you need to let us know if you want a math moment with Matt, because I feel like the last few episodes it's been Matt and numbers, and Matt either getting mad about numbers or telling people how numbers are stupid. Well, it's a good thing though, because like I don't know this.
Well, I think the movie thing just really makes me mad, especially this day and age, because literally I think out of the top like 15 to 25 movies of all time by box office, they all came within the last 4 years. And if you're going to tell me all the greatest movies came within the last 4 years, I'll call you a liar.
Yeah, that's bullshit.
Especially when every year you read that people going to the movies is decreasing, not by like 1%, but like 5%.
It's rolling
a
off
year.
really fast.
Continually.
Yeah.
And that's
like
why the ticket prices go up.
Yeah, and that's why it's like, oh, well, it made this much money. Well, of course it did, because it cost $30 to go to the movies. It's not hard.
That's not even an exaggeration.
Like I said, we can literally go see this movie at 1993. You could have taken your whole family to see this movie for the price it is to see Infinity War based on tickets when I looked in the inflation numbers.
Yeah.
But another thing that sets us apart compared to all these movies we talked about moving on, it actually won 39 awards. It was nominated for 25 other nominations, and it actually went 3 for 3 in Oscars.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Because dinosaurs.
Which obviously everybody talks about here, which we'll get into in a second, that won for best sound effects, and best visual effects.
So like the standard genre awards.
Yeah, which is basically why this movie stands apart as much as it's good for the story or whatever. And the dinosaurs, it's, as we kind of mentioned, the visual and sound effects for this are considered revolutionary and groundbreaking for its time.
And who was that composer?
You can tell me, because I'm not saying this because y'all wouldn't let me do another episode.
No,
because we had to do this.
Adrian wouldn't let you do it.
I was just saying that the hierarchy of composers is obvious and apparent given the awards that they've won, is all I was trying to say.
And who is this person? John Williams.
Yeah.
Nobody ever said John Williams.
Oh, sorry. I thought Matt said John Williams.
I
No, Matt said I will not say that name.
Yeah, this soundtrack is amazing. Like, it's like an iconic sound. Hans Zimmer's amazing, but like...
I'm not going to argue against the soundtrack.
The gates to Jurassic
It's
Park, that
just-
song that's playing and comes on, like...
It's just iconic, and like you play that in like a mall or something, and people are gonna know instantly what it is and like where it's from, just because of the sound and then like the visual effects that are associated with the sounds. Like you said, like the opening of the doors and like "Welcome to Jurassic Park." Yeah, it's just really good.
Wait, say that into the mic?
No. I'm actually kind of surprised that there weren't any like supporting actor nominations or anything.
Genre
Which
movies,
actually, I read an entire thing, which we'll kind of go into was the funny thing about this, which I guess I'll skip. Well, we're talking about the effects. I go to the effects before I go to the whole other part.
No problem.
So basically, I said it was groundbreaking and revolutionary. They ended up with the most real. Basically, a lot of people said they ended up with the most realistic dinosaurs audiences have ever seen at the time,
and have seen to this day.
Yeah, they used a combination of animatronics and fully computer generated creatures. The funny thing is, we talked about, I mentioned Dennis Muren, the guy who worked on the visual effects. Mm-hmm. He said he actually wasn't aware of the time that he was making the movie, like how good this was going to be. And I wanted to bring this up because apparently there was a whole thing. Excuse me. Yeah. Anyway, so Dan Muren, one of the guys working on the visual effects, who ended up being like a legendary visual effect guy, said at the time he wasn't aware of like how good they were making this movie when they were making this movie, and he actually said I guess I can do the quote, but he actually did a interview basically for the Hollywood Reporter or whatever, where he calls working on Jurassic Park, and George Lucas himself basically showed up, and and Dennis was like, hey, I was hoping someday we could work on something, like I love your stuff. I was hoping, that someday we could work on something like 2001, A Space Odyssey or whatever, because what that renowned for. And basically George says, you don't know it now, but you're already working on basically something revolutionary.
That's really cool.
So basically George Lucas already knew this was going to be history before thing.
So why didn't he use a lot more animatronics and practical effects in the prequels after this?
Don't know what happened. I don't know what happened there, but this was also 1993, and they're actually basically a lot of people changed the way they did a lot of their effects with future movies coming out.
I know, but it's sad because like I think Jurassic Park like Jurassic Park and the original Star Wars, but mostly Jurassic Park is one of those things that really makes me like get sad that we have so much CG now. Like, I mean, the CG is so good now, a lot of it looks real, but like back then, like there is a picture of them leaning up against a freaking dead Triceratops, and it looks real.
Hey,
like,
whoa.
He wasn't dead.
Whoa, she wasn't dead.
Okay.
She was just very sick.
okay, the very
Don't you
sick
put that on her.
Triceratops, the very sick Triceratops, and like, I like as a kid, I never thought that I couldn't go to Jurassic. Well, I mean, I did because they like the dinosaurs roaming around the island probably eat people, but like. It was real. Like, I think that's why Jurassic Park is such a cornerstone in people's childhoods, is because of the visual effects. Like, they weren't cheesy and they weren't overdone. And I want to go back to that. Guillermo del Toro, blazing the trail, going back to it.
But you gotta admit, watching Chris Pratt, like, try to control motion captured people playing as raptors is pretty hilarious.
It is. It's so bad. I hate seeing stuff with, like, the green screens before the renders. I hate it. It ruins so many things. Except for Doctor Strange, Benedict Cumberbatch, like, getting tossed around without, like, the background.
Yes.
They photoshopped him into a water park. It was good.
So what also happened on this movie was Steven Spielberg and them invested in basically the creation of DTS, kind of what we know today, which is a company specialized in digital surround sound formats and audio. So basically that's how this whole thing came about. It's because of this movie.
Was this like the first movie to do it? Is that what you're saying? Or like this is just like when they started playing around with it?
As far as I know, the whole DTS company itself was basically made from this movie.
Which makes sense, because the sound work, like, not even just the movie, but the sound work in this is, like, amazing. Because I know that, like, the T-Rex roar is a mixture of, like, 5 different animals.
They just grabbed a bunch of animals and started throwing them together what they got.
And it's
that makes
iconic.
sense.
Which kind of goes now to the next part of why this movie was crazy, because it's one, not only with the effects and everything, but also, like, kind of the marketing and the strategy behind this movie. So, one, they spent an insane amount of marketing on this movie. To say, basically, they spent $65 million marketing alone. And basically including 100 licensing deals and with all the toys. Which may not seem like a lot, but if you do the inflation, basically they spent $113 million in today's money marketing this movie alone. Compare this to, like, some things, like the average, I believe I found it, like the average marketing for, like, a movie is maybe, in this age, like $30 million. That's from, like, 2015 numbers, I believe.
Yeah.
The average marketing for in the 90s, if I remember correctly, was like $4 million. Like, the prequels, The Phantom Menace and all them, they didn't even... Like, the Lord of the Rings one, they spent maybe $50 million in marketing.
Wait, this is more than the prequels?
Marketing-wise?
And the prequels had, like, Jar Jar
Yes.
Binks cups.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. This is why
Holy
it was
shit.
like, this is like no other, like, the marketing and how much money they spent was like no other of the time. We don't think about it now because how much people just throw around money, but for the time and even now compared to a lot of stuff, this was a shit ton of money for marketing.
Yeah, it makes sense. It kind of follows like to their thing today, because if you go watch like any commercial that's out right now, at least one out of the 3 of them are going to be about Jurassic World. Like, it can be a car commercial, and they're going to spin it into a Jurassic World commercial. The World Cup has commercials that are like Jurassic World related. So like, it follows.
Jurassic World has commercials for other companies
But no.
inside Jurassic World.
Yeah, it's really weird. Oh God, we didn't even talk about that, about how dumb that was. But yeah, it makes sense that they're like super marketed heavy, even like today.
Yeah, like I said, I don't know about today's numbers. I'm trying to find the actual marketing budgets. A lot of companies don't like to release
Yeah,
it.
they don't like
They don't like to release that, but
they
to
wrap it into their overall budget.
Yeah. But from like what we found here, from the few that I found, and there's actually apparently a few papers out there, like actual study papers, which they did the money. We'll try to know how much the War of the Rings, and they did they got all the budget number for all the early 2000 movies.
I'm just surprised about the prequels because there were there were Jar Jar Binks cups. And
They
you could
spent
get a
only
Jar Jar
maybe
Binks
$50 million,
lollipop.
and this is in 2001.
God.
This movie spent $65 million, and that's in 1993.
I'm like mad that I wasn't older when this movie came out because I could have gotten so much stuff.
Yeah. Which kind of leads to the thing, because when they kind of did it, they're also one of the first movies, especially if we talked about some of the movies there. Maybe not the first, but like from what I saw, it was kind of changing in the early 90s. I don't remember a lot of the movies. But they were the first to go away from like your high big name actors, and they wanted to focus more on the dinosaurs and the actual people in there.
That makes a lot of sense.
That's what I was going to say. I was just waiting for us to get back to it because, like, I go watch this to see, like, humans. And it's kind of like what I want for, like, my why I used to go watch Transformers movies.
Now you watch it from Mark to Mark.
Yeah, now I watch it from Mark to Mark. But before, like, I wanted to see Transformers interact with people. And when I want to go watch these movies, I want to go see dinosaurs interact with people. Now it's more for Chris Pratt now, I guess.
Well, the funny thing is, like, the big names, the quote-unquote big names they had weren't even the big parts of the movie. Like Samuel L. Jackson, which I didn't even know. Richard Attenborough played John Hammond, but, wasn't, like, in the main thing.
You mean David Attenborough?
No, Richard
Attenborough?
Yeah.
Is he related to David Attenborough?
I didn't get a chance to look up, but I want to believe so. But no, Richard Attenborough, like, a huge film person.
No, I know that.
Yeah, and then I went up to go look, like, the 1994 Oscars, and, like, Schindler's List, Philadelphia, and Piano basically, like, sweep everything.
Yeah.
And The Fugitive basically, like, sweep everything in the Oscars.
I mean, Jeff Goldblum was also kind of a thing at this point, at least from, like, the horror world.
But that's what I'm saying. He still wasn't, like, super
No,
big.
he wasn't going to, like... I'm sure he didn't take home a giant check. Now he probably does.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I think that T-Rex probably took home a bigger check than anybody in this movie.
Rexy's my favorite.
Yeah.
That's her name.
I know it's her name. I know it's her name. So going from Jurassic Park, we'll go with a little more of the good of kind of Jurassic World because it was the first movie we had in 14 years. It broke the record for opening weekend set by Avengers. It broke $1 billion. Obviously, because we just talked about the movie numbers, that record's not been broken not once, but twice at this point. I think. Yeah.
In the same year.
Yeah, but the first movie, people were hyped. They got them out. They see it. The movie, it is what it is. But yeah, considering that's basically about the good of this, like how much accolades and what Jurassic Park, the original movie and the groundbreaking stood for that. That's what's crazy about this franchise, which we get into the bad of. Besides outside Jurassic Park, the rest of the movies are pretty bad, especially critically. The next one is Jurassic World, which is a 71 and a 7.0. It's the next highest
rated. That is a good movie.
Highest rated movie. The Lost World and especially Jurassic Park 3 are rated pretty poorly, as we mentioned earlier.
The Lost World is a good movie.
It wasn't that great.
Jeff Goldblum with his family.
Those are bad because both of them are about, like, family stuff. Like, I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care about, like, lost people in the thing. I want to see dinosaurs.
Well,
I think that's why Jurassic Park does so well, is because, like, it's like the mystery, kind of the world building of, like, how they did it. And then, like, seeing that animals break out is, like, this new and fascinating thing.
Liberated, Adrian.
They're being liberated. The other ones are just, like, going to find people. And, like, you're in the dinosaur world now. I'm just like,
The Lost World, you're not doing that. The Lost World, it's less, like, I think at the end, there's more of it than the first one, but not as much as the third one, because I do agree the third one is shit, because I don't care about that little boy. I don't care about anything.
Yeah, that's the biggest disappointment
But I love The Lost World, because you have damn dinosaurs on the actual, in a city, and stuff like that.
I don't care about it, though.
It's just such a dumb concept.
Leave it alone, Adrian.
Unless you're gonna put them in a city with fighting Transformers, I don't want to see dinosaurs.
I want to see them like smashing things.
I can go watch Godzilla for that. I want to see like these dudes in their habitat,
pretty much
chilling.
And even the early reviews so far for Jurassic World aren't looking pretty as now. I'm not gonna mention the reviews or stuff that's out right now because obviously it hadn't been released to the public and everything else. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I thought Jurassic World was fine.
It was fine. I didn't think it was horrible.
The story was just kind of dumb.
Those kids were annoying. And, like, I've made it very clear that I don't like kids in my movies on this podcast. However, rewatching the first Jurassic Park, I love those kids. They're so curious. And, like, they want to know things. And the ones in Jurassic World are annoying.
They don't even want to be there.
They weren't even, like, my least favorite part of that movie.
And they got their babysitter killed.
My least favorite part of the movie was, like, the general dude who's, like... Because they try to, like... you can see, like, where they're going. They're trying to, like...
Kingpin?
Yeah, I can't remember the actor's name.
Vincent D'Onofrio.
Yeah, like you can see that they're just trying. And Matt talked about this before. Like they just like do movies to make more movies, and you can tell that he's only there because of stuff that's going to happen in like future movies. So like his part is just dumb. Like I just want to see Chris Pratt chill with Blue. Like is that so much to ask?
I did like him getting eaten by raptors, though.
Yeah, but the whole his back of his story of the organization that he represents is just dumb and just kind of felt forced.
Well,
and then bringing the Asian guy back to say
No, that was cool. I liked that because they actually explained why you get different dinosaurs.
Well, yes, I get that.
And why they weren't correct. Sorry.
Which also leads kind of the next point that I want to say, which is bad, is apparently the world building.
Yes, that's really bad.
While through the OT, where you see a few recurring characters, like Sam O'Neill comes back for Grant, even though Adley and him not making...
That is the worst thing.
Oh, that's so bad. Or Ellie. Is it Ellie or
Ellie?
Adley?
It's Ellie. Ellie and Alan should have been together.
Yeah, but anyways, you see those recurring a little bit. Jeff Goldblum plays in the first two. Apparently they all take place in the same universe, but they really don't, all the movies themselves don't really feel connected at all.
I just want to know how everybody is still so stupid when it comes to dinosaurs when it has been happening for years.
Yeah.
There's a lot of lost information. All this goes on. Jurassic World kind of brings people up back to speed, but not a lot. They kind of do a lot of homage to the original movie, which is awesome, but there's so much lost for all of this homage, whatever. There's so much homage to the original movie.
So much hummus.
Yeah, hummus. Hummus is gross. But there's still a lot of missing information. You still don't really know all this stuff. Even with the new trilogy or whatnot, like you said with the other character brought back, and you brought all these other people back, you really, besides seeing the thing in the first movie, you don't know what the heck they've been doing.
Ian Malcolm should have been in Jurassic
Well, apparently he's in Jurassic World 2, but like I said, they don't have everything coming back thing, which actually apparently really sucks even more, because if you actually read the outside material in the actual universe and what people have put together, and like you said, the first two books, which actually kind of bridge the whole first part, it's actually pretty good, and you actually see all the characters, how they fit together, and how the islands actually fit together, and you actually learn they're actually on different islands.
Okay, yeah, so you do learn that they're on different islands in the movies.
Yeah, but
you don't see it.
You don't actually really see it.
Yeah,
and know
and it's
much.
not said enough for me to know. All I know is Isla Nublar is the new one, but I don't know what the other ones are called.
I think that both of them start with an I. One's Isabah, I believe.
Yeah, and also for the new one, I don't know if it's a social commentary thing. If this was in the future, everything would be Verizon, and they would just call it Verizon stores, to be funny. But then they just hit you with Mercedes.
Yeah.
Mercedes everything.
Yeah.
No one wants a Mercedes SUV thing thrown in their face the whole movie. So it's just.
Yeah, so they're off the coast of Costa Rica.
I remember that. Yeah.
Yes. Which way you're kind
That's
of
the original one. So Isla Nublar is the
well, it's original and where Jurassic World takes place.
Yeah.
There's
Isla
three.
Sorna is the other one. And there's a third one, but I don't know what that's called. Oh yeah, Isla Nublar and Isla Sorna are the only ones that are popping up. So.
There's more than that. There's someone more.
Oh, Isla.
I told you there's actually quite a few islands.
Okay, yeah. Isla Sorna, Isla Tacaño, Isla Mataceros. I guess those are just the actual existing islands off of Costa Rica.
But anyways, you basically, between this stuff, you get, you kind of learn. If you actually read the stuff, you can see all the islands and whatnot. Which one I wasn't sure if these islands actually existed when I was a kid, and so that was the thing. But you actually,
look how much mystery this movie created. And I think why the first one is so good because
it's so immersive.
Is it real? Is it not real? Are these actual islands? Did they film these in actual places?
Well, actually, lead to my next fun story. I've actually visited and been actually at the scene of where they filmed the first Jurassic Park, and where they're actually running through the field and they hide behind the giant stick. I've actually been there.
Oh, did you find Samuel Jackson's arm?
No, I didn't see the arm, but I have actually been there and drove in ATVs on there. Another fun Jurassic Park fact. But yeah, so you actually learn what that company is, InGen, how they made the thing, how they managed to make the amusement parks, and how all the stuff fits together. If you actually go inside to read all the stuff, but the problem is you don't get any of that in the movies.
Yeah.
Once again, don't put it in a book, or don't have if it's in a book, put it in your movie. I don't know how to
well, especially
this
with
one.
this many movies.
Yeah,
there's no excuse. You have 6 movies planned. You couldn't have put in InGen stuff in 3 movies ago. Why did you wait so long?
like I said, because much of you like The Lost World, I was turned off by The Lost World because it kind of just felt so completely detached from Jurassic Park.
Was. It really, really was.
And I was just kind of like, did they
was.
just pay Jeff Goldblum to come back, and that was it? Because why is everything? And then I was like, where's Grant at? Grant just disappeared this whole time.
He comes back in the third one.
Yeah, we tried to act like that existed.
I still really want us to cosplay Alan and Ellie. Just saying.
Yeah.
Also, fun fact, Matt's done work in paleobotany, and Ellie is a paleobotanist.
Yes.
So Matt's gonna be Ellie?
No.
When I rewatched it, that was the first thing I thought.
So that's kind of the bad parts of this whole thing. So they are successful to make a lot of money, do stuff, but there's a lot of like flaws and plot holes and weird stuff that goes on.
It's kind of not a good franchise. Overall.
Yeah. Which leads to the next part of like kind of like another but why though of dinosaurs, which we kind of met. People just love dinosaurs, which I think is why everybody shows up and it makes a ton of money, and we don't really care whether there's a plot because there's freaking dinosaurs everywhere.
Just make something really big.
So basically, like I said, from basically the Flintstones early time to basically your pets and everything, people just love dinosaurs, and people just will show up to see dinosaurs, especially young children and young people, which is actually weird considering the series is actually semi-family / semi-horror genre, especially the first movie.
Yeah. Yeah. Adrian is.
I'm just like thinking of like when they're on the highway and like the kids are literally holding up a piece of glass so a T-Rex doesn't eat them. Like that seems pretty goddamn terrifying.
Well, actually, the funny thing is, I believe it's the second movie opens up with a little girl gets eaten by all the little compies.
Yep.
But they don't actually show it. I don't think people realize know it.
Do you not remember that?
I don't remember.
Yeah, you don't.
Yeah,
unless you're paying attention, you don't realize
family,
it.
You're right.
Yes.
They don't see it.
You
know
what happened.
You know
but
that child was
But they
eaten.
played it off just enough.
Yeah, that's messed up.
Yeah.
That's messed up.
But it's just funny because people like kids love this and everything else and fascinated.
Not
but
my brother, because he saw it as a horror movie.
Which is actually funny because it leads to another Jurassic Park fun thing of I actually was not allowed at the time to actually go see this movie in theaters, and it took me a year later to actually see this movie because between which parent you have at the time debates whether you can see a PG-13 movie depending on your age, or the other parent who says you can see PG-13 but not R, or you just have another parent who dictates over the other parent of family dynamics. But I actually did not actually see this in theaters or whatnot, and it wasn't until about a year later to when I saw this movie.
Which is real. That makes me like, what was like when they made this movie? Who was their audience? Like, were they going for adults to tap into like that piece of them that want?
There were so many kids' toys that it was so weird from a lot of the marketing.
Well, there's so many kids' toys for everything now.
Well, I know, but considering it was a horror like type
Maybe
movie, it was like marketing a lot of like kids' toys and everything to sell dinosaur stuff.
Maybe they just like struck a good balance of like, hey, we know we're gonna get kids in there with dinosaurs, but we're also gonna make a compelling story of this is how we
show a guy getting eaten on a toilet and show a severed arm.
Exactly. Like, this is how we're gonna make. This is how we made dinosaurs. Like, look at this, fantastic world. But there's dinosaurs, so kids are going to be, butts and seats, obviously.
Which I think if it played into this whole thing of why it wasn't rated R because of like how since they used dinosaurs, if I remember correctly.
It's also a different time too. Like if you put like a severed, bloody arm in a movie now, like that's not PG-13. I don't think.
Well, like I said, I think depending on which...
No, it is.
Is it?
Yeah. Like I said, they were able to get away, if I remember...
Standards have gotten laxed as time goes on.
But they also, like I said, I think here... I can't remember. There actually was a thing of like why it wasn't actually rated R. It had to do with basically because dinosaurs were not actual people.
Yeah.
And was actually killing them
So,
and
like,
everything.
Rexy has feelings.
Yeah.
So, like, if you put a severed arm in a movie with humans and a human made that arm severed, then it's an R-rated, like, horror movie. If you show a lot of blood, that bumps up a rating. If the blood is blue, that cuts it down. It goes back down. It is no longer an R movie, which is why the MCU uses different colored blood for things, if you've ever noticed.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
It's weird.
It also works on taxes, too. So, like, X-Men dolls or mutants are not humans, because to be a human, it would be a doll, and they would have to pay more on taxes, so they conceded, Marvel as a company conceded, that the X-Men were not, in fact, humans.
That means the toys that made us, because I'm interested by that.
Yes, there's a lot of weird stuff happening. But yeah, so basically, kind of like what we talked about, like people loving dinosaurs is like the mystery of it, the history of it. You've ever been to museums, you've seen the skeletons, you've seen bones, and just captivate people. And so, but yeah, so I mean, I don't know why, but people love them, they see them. I'm pretty much going to go see the second movie, even though it looks like it's going to be awful.
It is about a boy and his dog, Matt.
It looks like it's going to be terrible, but I'm going to go see there for the dinosaurs.
I don't know. They showed 2 different trailers, so I don't know what this movie's going to be about. But
That's another thing. I don't even know a thing. That's about how bad the...
I'm just there for Chris Pratt and dinosaurs. I actually have no idea who else is in the movie, but I'm just there for Chris Pratt, and him watching him interact with anything is fun for me. So I'm down.
I don't remember if it was a Jurassic Park book or just like a regular like learning book, but it was really cool, and my mom didn't want to get it to me because she thought I was going to be afraid, but my dad was like, no, get it for her, she'll love it. And it was a book that you would open up and it would take apart like layers of the dinosaur. So like you'd have like the top dinosaur and it was the entire dinosaur, and then it'd take off the skin, and then it'd take off the muscle, and then you'd like go through and learn about like the systems of like that are inside the dinosaur and like what it ate and all that stuff. It was really cool. It looked really creepy, and I found that book at my parents' house when they were moving. I was like, why did you buy this? This is actually a very scary book.
Yeah, I mean, I learned a lot about like science and genetics in general just from watching the first movie for sure.
They do an entire breakdown of DNA in their first thing.
Yes. But I was
I
trying
was
to
trying to
I
transition.
know you
Matt.
were. She went.
We got it, man. We
Yes.
were on the same page. We were on the same page.
Which kind of leads to the next
I
part.
don't read the notes.
Which kind of leads to the next part of genetic engineering, and I guess we can lead with the Ian Malcolm quote because I knew we had to put one in here, even though we probably could have done many.
Oh, I'm gonna put them in here.
Your scientists were so preoccupied with whether they could, they didn't stop to think whether they should. And basically, this is the whole concept of basically the idea that Jurassic Park could be a reality.
Life finds a way, Matt.
Yeah. So one, we do not at this moment have the technology. So we've been able to extract DNA from these fossils and kind of like even the bugs that they kind of show. And the funny thing is that people want to say never. It's not never because we just don't have the technology. So there's so many fragments, and unfortunately with the way they are, it gets fragments smaller, 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 to eventually if you get too small, you can't put it all back together. But yeah, so to say this would never happen is wrong, but to say we can do it now is wrong. So
Yeah.
we don't have the technology, but to say we never will eventually, we won't. That's why we save a lot of stuff in science and whatnot. But what we have been doing...
So it's never a no in science.
You never use never. You always never use never. Or always. Or wait. Never use never or always. Or always... I don't remember how it goes. Damn it. Shit. Oh well.
Bad scientist.
Leave things open.
Anyways,
to
you don't.
possibilities.
Anyways, you don't ever say never and always in science. For the most
It's
part.
like, so it's essentially if you haven't exhausted all possibilities, and it's not impossible. So you can't say something is impossible until you've done all things.
Yeah. Like I said, eventually, maybe in 20 years, we could end up like Jurassic World. We don't know because we just haven't done.
I want to be there.
But what we have done, which is cool, is this basically thing kind of known as like de-extinction and basically reverse engineering genes. Well, one, they're kind of two different things. We've been kind of reverse engineering genes, in which basically they've been taking birds, as anybody haven't, if you saw the movie, you learned, and obviously we've learned more and more, and that way they kind of explained Jurassic World a little bit, which why I didn't understand why people got mad about some of the stuff, is they actually look more with feathers and everything. So they've been taking embryos and everything from chickens and birds, and they've actually been like opening and shutting off and returning on genes to give them more of their old dinosaur looks. So they've actually done this with beaks, feet, and legs so far, where they make them kind of look like dinosaurs. And
That is so disturbing, but like really cool, and I want to see one. Are there any pictures of them?
I'm sure you can look them up. There's papers on this like no other, because it's been basically a giant debate, which we'll kind of get it.
Peter's coming for our podcast.
So-
Which we'll get into the next section thing, but just talking about the things of like, to the extent pretty much one day we might be able to reverse engineer basically a chicken into a meat-eating compy.
So all I'm hearing you say is that all of those children who love Jurassic Park are now adult scientists, and this is what they're doing.
Possible. Plausible.
Yeah. Because I know you have on here about like the mammoths. I know like that's been like a huge thing of like whether or not they should be messing with that.
So
I'm all for it. Bring back the mammoths.
So-
I want to see giant ass mammoths.
So which kind of leads to the next part, because I kind of mentioned them both together. So the first part was reverse engineering, which can lead to what is basically known, as you mentioned, the mammoth de-extinction, where you bring back. So they actually have mammoth-like DNA. So being able to like petri dish your way to a mammoth.
So have they actually have they saved like DNAs of the white rhinos? They're extinct now.
I mean, I wouldn't be
Like,
surprised. I mean, they
I'm
save DNAs.
sure.
I'm sure they
So,
do.
like,
They still
can
have
they do
DNA. They
that?
still have smallpox put away somewhere.
Wait, but I'm saying like from a conservation standpoint, why are they not de-extincting white rhinos? Because that last male died.
Which, I guess if you... Well, for one, it's a little hard to do, considering they haven't fully, I don't think, made the process, which is why we don't have mammoths, even though I think we have somewhat processed. But one, you have to go with kind of like the goats when we were cloning things.
Yeah.
They may not live, or there is problems, or
Yeah.
even in the... So, and also kind of what they talked about in Jurassic World, of they may not have a full genome, like, sequence.
Yeah, and they have to supplement it.
Yeah, so...
But, I mean, but I
which
would...
obviously we do not have the possibility of gene splicing yet. Gene splicing is an awesome concept.
But, like, from that, though, like, with a mammoth, I can understand that. But, like, I'm assuming you can get, like, really fresh DNA.
You still have to sequence all of it.
Like, oh, okay.
I mean, which you could technically probably sequence it, but then you have to actually know...
Is it the sequencing where you lose part of the genome, or...
Well, no, because... Well, probably not, because you won't lose anything from sequencing. Sequencing will just tell you what all it is. But having the capability to do that and know what everything does within there...
Okay. Because all I know is just, at least with mammoths, well, I guess technically... I'm trying to think, like, where we fall
Think back
in
to
line
my
with
anthropology class.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's Homo sapien, but there were hominids.
Yeah.
Mammoths.
Which depends on whether you believe the whole thing, whether we actually drove the big mammal to extinction, such as, like, the mammoth, or
That's
not,
what I was-
or whether it was something else.
Yeah, so I was just...
Yo, if we killed mammoths with sticks, those mammoths should have been better.
Well, because there was
Put your weight up, mammoth.
Well, because of North America back in the day, we actually had a lot of large not primates.
The giant sloths!
The sloths, the
And the
saber-toothed
giant
and the-
armadillos.
El Paso has mammoth fossils.
Yeah.
We went there and saw them.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but the thing was, basically, there's a theory basically saying, like, why did they die? Was it because evolution only allows you to get so big to where you actually be able to, feel your thing? Or, I mean, it's a possibility, and also whether humans end up taking over and killing them all off.
I would love to see humans try to kill a mammoth with, like, sticks.
Stomp.
And, like...
Well, you just reproduce a lot faster and other
Yeah.
things.
You-
And-
It's like a zombie horde. We can overwhelm a mammoth.
I would just be so scared to fight a mammoth.
Yeah.
Like, they're just so big.
Back
and
then,
furry.
people weren't afraid of things.
Yeah, you're awesome.
Yeah, that's also why they only
They
live
didn't,
in
they didn't
also-
walk outside and freak out.
But also, we're afraid of things. It's just why we survive. It's like a weird.
Well, they
thing,
actually had
right?
rational fears, not
Yeah,
irrational
exactly.
Yeah.
fears.
But
Yeah, let's be scared of the saber tooth. Big ass mammoth. Let's go take it out.
all I'm trying to say is that it would be awesome to work on this process for animals that humans currently, because we're awful, have driven to extinction before
Well,
we do the mammoth.
Which lead to the question, which I had some kind of questions of going into this, of like, basically, should we be doing de-extinction in the first place?
If it doesn't fuck with the ecological system,
Well, you don't know that.
Yes.
That's the whole point of chaos theory.
well, I mean,
You don't know.
Given what we have now, like given the fact that we can corner off pieces of land for like refuges and stuff like that, but also like I think we have enough information to know, or at least like have a probability of what would happen if we reintroduce a new species into a certain area.
But how far back do you go?
You bring back giant sloths.
Well, yes, Adrian, you bring back the giant sloth. But no, I think being reasonable,
Well, what's being reasonable?
bringing shit that we've killed to extinction within like the past 100 years.
Well, what about if someone died 105 years ago?
The past 100 years.
Yeah.
But why are those animals more better?
And I would say because we probably have more data to like make sure that ecological systems don't collapse, because that's probably the biggest fear is what happens when you reintroduce a new animal.
Well,
into
why
a
did they go
system
extinct
like
in
that.
the first place? Like, where are we putting all these animals? We already have enough problem with space and thing because people keep reproducing.
Well, one, stop humans from reproducing.
So now we're not allowing.
It's all about the animals, Matt. But two, like they go extinct honestly because of like it. Like if you look in like Africa and like those animals, like all of those are things that are that humans have deemed culturally significant, which is why they're hunted for their ivory. They're hunted for all these things. Like whether humans.
Well, what about the things that go
immediately impacted
extinct that were not human caused?
Oh well, then I don't think we have an obligation to.
Why
help
not?
those,
We
because
have the
humans
power.
didn't do it.
We have the power to stop it.
In a perfect world, yes, but I'm trying to be logical here because I'm never logical on this podcast. I'm just saying stuff that we personally have contributed to their extinction, because rhinos are gone, or white rhinos are gone now, and it's very sad. So, yeah.
So I guess besides the de-extinction question, but like, do you believe we should be doing genetic engineering?
Yes.
I'm cool with genetic.
So where are we drawing the line? Are we just only doing it with people? Are we doing it with just animals? Are we gonna make some cool looking like cats that can fly? Should we do it with people? We gonna end up with Gattaca?
If there is a gene that can let me fly, please turn that back on.
I mean, I'm all for Gattaca stuff. Like I thought Gattaca was an amazing movie. I was like, if I could depict exactly what my kids look like and make sure there's no like disease or anything like that, I'm all for that genetic. It's just super expensive.
As somebody who would,
I'm down for it.
Like as somebody who has the breast cancer gene and has like a very, 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 very high chance of having the Alzheimer gene. Yeah. Take that shit away from me.
Maybe we should.
I don't want it.
Yeah, like it's.
So was it only for diseases, or can I get my own wings?
Well, I literally just said that if there is a gene in me that.
Well, I know, but
fly,
I mean for wing, but I mean just for like whatever people want.
I mean, like people. There's a reason like why there's like that athlete won the genetic lottery because they have like the genes that make them freak athletes. And if we were all freak athletes, and that'd be dope. That'd be super dope. If everyone was a freak athlete, no one wouldn't be.
I would like everybody listening at home right now to know that I am not taking into considerations the wealth disparity that this would bring. I'm just talking about the ideas behind this because I think it would be cool. And I think like just like people are like, genetic therapy is one of like the ways that people are combating really, really aggressive illnesses. And then also genome mapping is something that's been really important to like make sure we're
So that leads to the question of that, like that gene therapy and genetic engineering, like why can't we just let the people die because they're basically doing the same thing what happened to some of these extinct animals that you don't want to bring back?
Why do you make things hard, Matt?
It's not wrong. I just bring everything back.
Which kind of
snap your fingers and everything is brought back to life.
Comes back.
Yeah. Which leads kind of basically because as you talked about that thing of even the extinction and whatnot, should we be even investing all this? Which is basically because a lot of people have had problems with this reverse engineering thing of like why are we spending money in basically trying to bring back or reverse engineer basically your species when we could be using money in other places?
Because we spend money on stupid stuff anyway. Like let's spend money on possible Jurassic Parks.
Our military has so much money right now.
Yeah,
so much money.
Let's get engineered military raptors. Like in Jurassic World is what we need to be doing if it gives us dinosaurs.
So basically, I guess the question would be then, which we do basically as all the stuff, should we bring back the dinosaurs?
What are we classifying as a dinosaur?
Everything.
Just all of the extinct big animals and things? That
no,
are
I mean,
like,
well,
are you restraining it to a specific period, or can I say a giant sloth?
Well, that wouldn't be classified as a dinosaur.
That's what I'm asking.
Well, no, I literally said, should we bring back the dinosaurs? What does the sloth have to do with the dinosaurs?
I'm not a scientist, Matt.
Yeah, it's also kind of weird because like something like the dinosaurs in Jurassic Park didn't even like live together.
Yeah, they were.
Exactly.
They were in the Triassic.
So, are we talking specifically for Jurassic Park dinosaurs?
Well, I mean, sure.
Okay, or Ark dinosaurs.
I mean, I would just assume. Well, I mean, you do classification of dinosaurs as a broad umbrella, whether it's the Jurassic, Triassic periods.
Technically, jerboas are still around.
But those aren't dinosaurs.
I'm down.
No, who would you bring back?
Oh, who would I bring back?
I didn't say who. I said should we.
Oh,
yeah,
should we?
I'm down. Yeah. I don't know what. Dinosaurs are like one of the biggest mysteries on our planet, and like literally nobody knows. Nobody knows like what they look like because it's so long ago. Giant sloths, we got a pretty good idea because they're like far enough away where we kind of know more or less what they look like because we have sloths now. No one knows what a T-Rex actually looked like. No one knows what a brontosaurus. I can't even fathom this size of a brontosaurus. I can't even picture it in my head.
So sadly, I'm gonna say no, just because of that's like a very surefire way to set off everything and make ecosystems collapse. And
no, you just put them in a park. I'm serious. Like that's the only way.
Those islands exist off the coast of Costa Rica.
Yeah, we have tons of islands. I mean, like, we could do that because like if it's like an ecosystem thing we're worried about, let's just go find those secluded things.
So you're gonna kill that ecosystem that's existing on that.
Exactly. We'll just move that ecosystem somewhere else because dinosaurs are cooler than some gecko off the coast of Costa Rica.
You mean sloths? Because there's a whole bunch of sloths that like live on like these little islands and stuff that are gonna die.
Sloths are basically dead. Like they don't do anything. Unless
no,
we're getting giant sloths.
In Planet Earth 2, I saw one swim across the river because he thought he was gonna get laid.
And
He
it took
didn't.
him, yeah, because it took him so long to get there.
If we didn't protect sloths, I'm pretty sure sloths would be dead.
No, because we don't really
No.
protect sloths that much. They're really adapt to survive.
Basically, we don't have to by biogeography.
Put dinosaurs on that island and see if sloths survive.
See if we would
Now,
survive.
if we didn't,
Wait, like battle bots, but like dinosaurs. Because are they technically? See, then you come into like, are they technically alive? Because we genetically modified them, so are they real? So if you had like raptor fights, is it unethical?
Which is
like,
kind of well, that's what kind of happened with the whole thing of like when they put them in the park. Like, do we even need to treat them royal?
Wait, question. What type of am I bringing back the mythical idea of the way the dinosaurs look in Jurassic Park, or when I say a raptor, am I bringing up a tiny little baby?
I don't really. I mean, I think if people like cockfights, I'm pretty sure like they'll like little raptor fights too. So I don't think the size of the raptor really matters too much.
Well, the size of the matter is whether it's going to kill you or not.
I will choke out a chicken raptor.
Yeah, but you will not choke out a giant raptor.
How do we know unless we do it? That's my point. We don't know. You don't know.
All
It's a clever drill.
So I'm gonna say yes. Like, ethically no, but yes, because I want to use this line because God creates dinosaurs, God destroys dinosaurs, God creates man, man destroys God, man creates dinosaurs, dinosaurs eat man, and women inherit the earth.
That was not where I think you were going with that, but that's fine.
It's
Now
an
you're
Ian Malcolm
talking
quote.
about humans again. We don't care about humans. We just want dinosaurs.
What do you mean? I'm just saying. I was quoting Ian Malcolm and Ellie Sattler.
I know that, but I did not know. I thought you were going somewhere else with that.
I thought.
And they're really cool. Like, part of me really just wants to be like Adrian and say, I just want to know all about these dinosaurs and see all these things fight each other. And, like, I would be okay if I died getting eaten by a dinosaur. But.
No, I don't want to get eaten by a dinosaur. I just want to see one. There's like the mystery. Like I don't even like the mystery of it. The mystery of why I think it's like more. I mean, I'm really sad white rhinos died. Like it sucks, but I'd rather have a triceratops than a white rhino. I know what white rhinos look like. I have no idea what a triceratops looks like.
Oh, you have a general idea.
I have an exact idea what a rhino looks like. I know exactly what that dude looks like. And one of the movies was all sick, and it was just bring back a lot of childhood memories. It's like a weird thing. I think the whole are they human? Like, do they like have like the same rights as like animals who are not bred genetically? I think is. Yeah, I don't know. I'd rather see us do it with animals because it's.
I don't want to talk about the human thing because then that gets into like another hour-long conversation. It's going to turn into one of our Patreon episodes where we're like getting into deep moral things.
Well, that's the whole point of like between like I said, one they're playing a few things in here. One is whether we should bring back animals in general for the de-extinctions. Two, should we be doing genetic engineering? And if we should be, what do we draw the line on? Is it only for treating diseases? Is it modifying animals the way we want? Maybe we want better looking. Maybe we can turn that rhino into a triceratops. Maybe we can. But then it leads into basically, out of all of these, should we be investing any money in general into this stuff? Because one of the main counter arguments is this: we should be investing our money instead of like billions of dollars. I think they did an estimate of like rounding quote unquote of like $23 billion to make like Jurassic World, depending on stuff. What can you do with $23 billion?
We have $1 trillion defense system where they waste fucking money. Like, there is a gun that is in existence that they paid to be made where one bullet costs like $5,000.
Well, I know.
Like, we don't need that.
But that's what I'm saying. The whole point is for every argument for that, though, there is a counter argument like, why do I need a raptor chicken?
Okay, so I'm not talking. Okay. All of this should be happening, and money could be put into it because in the future we could get a raptor chicken. But the big thing that this does is, and this is how people package it, and I know you hate this in science, but it is a benefit to humanity to work in a way that you can help, like, the betterment of humans. Like, if I really
de-extinctions probably help humans in no way whatsoever.
Oh, well.
Yeah, all it does is give us stuff to look at.
Well, I mean, like, genetic engineering, honestly, is what I'm talking about. And, like, being able... Like, I wish I had been born with those genes. So...
Yeah, I mean, like, logically, we probably like logically it doesn't make any sense because like 99% of all species have been extinct. So like
Our time's a coming.
like white rhinos and stuff like that. It didn't happen now. It's gonna happen later.
Well, that's the whole point of like why I said like why are we only choosing 100 years?
Yeah.
Yeah, like it was gonna happen.
Why don't we bring back the
eventually.
dodo?
Well, I only said 100 years just because of direct human involvement. Like, had that animal been
Yeah, but
left
we don't
alone-
actually know probably how far back of direct human involvement goes. Basically, anytime we started building cities, we killed a lot of things.
Yeah.
So how far back are we going far as city-wise?
Really, Matt? I thought only us eating meat is what hurt all the animals.
We're not going into that conversation.
Okay, continue. Sorry.
No, but yeah, like basically since we've been making quote-unquote civilizations or cities or anything else, we've basically been destructing ecosystems. Whether people like it or not, your house destroyed an ecosystem. Or part of an ecosystem.
Yeah. That's accurate.
So why everybody yells about save the rainforest, they don't care that we just flattened all this land up and made condos and apartments.
Yeah, we have this like really weird thing, like humanity, of like attributing importance thing to different kind of animals. Like white rhinos are cool, but like I'm pretty sure in the rainforest there's like a lot more things that have gone extinct like in that time frame.
Oh, that's stuff we haven't even figured out.
But
Found yet.
white rhinos are cool because like they're big and cute. But like there's probably like little geckos.
Technically, people fight less for the rhino. They fight more for, like, a panda that's already, like, going up.
That's what I'm saying. Like that's like bigger animals. We attribute more importance like to the bigger animals than we do like a little frog.
Well, which is also funny because you've talked about how basically pandas would go extinct without human intervention. Well, why should we not just let them go extinct?
Well, I mean, I would prioritize other animals over them, but, like, they use it to sell.
Why are you
to sell the
prioritizing other
idea.
animals? All animals are equal, Kate.
No, they're not.
In the real
No, they're
world,
not.
everybody and all things are not created
When
equal.
all of the sharks die, the ocean will fall apart.
I don't
As
know.
much as everybody wants to yell about equal stuff, when it comes to actual biology, things aren't equal.
Do you bring back the megalodon?
Yeah,
I feel like Matt would bring back the megalodon.
we're screwed. Actually, I wouldn't
If
mind.
you bring back a megalodon, think about how much that thing would destroy an ecosystem.
Yeah.
I'm saying
That thing
'cause-
would just eat everything, and nothing would be able to kill it.
There's so much of our ocean unexplored. How do we know it's dead, Matt?
Yeah, like
No,
the movie.
we're not
like
going
Like the movie
Meg.
Meg.
we're not, no.
It was on the History Channel, Matt.
No.
There's a new one with Jason Statham.
No.
Yeah, it is. I'm pretty
No.
excited about it 'cause Jason Statham's in it.
I know.
No.
I wanna
That's
see-
gonna be one of the ones that we record, and Matt just like yells in the back.
No.
I'll
No.
I'll summarize it for you, man.
No. But no, it's yeah.
But do you bring back the megalodon?
Well, the whole point of that thing too was basically because we don't know what that ecosystem is. But basically, the whole basis of chaos theory of like, if we bring back a T-Rex, what's going to kill
That's
it?
not what I asked, Matt. I just want a yes or no. Do you want to bring back the megalodon?
Would I bring back the megalodon? Well, I'm kind of like, well, personally, if I could ride one, sure. But I mean,
Exactly. That's all. That's
but
it.
do I know out of all the species to bring back, is that a bad idea? Yes, and it's not because they're just going to eat people.
I think we have enough information. Not the ocean. I don't think we bring out anything in the ocean.
We don't know shit.
Yeah, and I think like the Amazon is even harder because of the Amazon has like the most biodiversity out of like
Well,
any piece
the
of
whole
land.
point about
but
this
I think that
is-
there are like some places that have been extensively surveyed and like people know about and have been working on trying to save these things. You can find out how to bring stuff back.
You say all this, but in the grand scheme, we don't know really that much at all. Ecosystems are way more complex
Yeah.
than you can factor, and which is the whole basis of this whole entire
I don't see a problem
movie.
with de-extincting like 100 white rhinos and putting them back on that piece of land that was
Well,
that
the
is
problem,
owned for white rhinos.
well, the problem they have with that is two between thing, which probably with more of the whole sequencing problem, with not so much that we can't sequence a thing, is like why we have creatures that we know are going to go extinct because you have to have biodiversity. And you have to
Yeah.
have genetic drift and genetic diversity in general to have a species actually survive. Which is why we can have like 100 white rhinos, depending on our thing, and it could be one of those depending on the genetic diversity. So if it's 100 white clones, then you have no genetic diversity, no nothing. They're all just going to die.
yeah.
Whereas if you can make within the 100 thing, they actually have enough genetic diversity, you can actually grow the species.
But what if you had like 5 rhino DNAs and then you made 5 rhinos and then you like had them populate with each other and then eventually you'd end up with
Was that the
No,
problem?
diversity?
Like, it
You
doesn't
won't-
work like that.
it doesn't work like that. You'll end up in a bottleneck. That's why the Amish communities and we have blue people.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's also
yeah,
why the
that's
Cain
right.
and Abel story is some of the
Yeah, it's-
dumbest shit in the world because it doesn't make sense genetically.
Yeah, there's no genetic diversity. Have they? Since you're a botanist, Matt, do they do work like this with like extinct plants?
As far as, like, what, trying to bring them back?
Right, like de-extincting plants.
Like what?
Like plants.
I don't know, but there's been talk of it, but I don't know if they've done it. They've done a lot of genetic engineering.
Is that easier or harder than bringing back, like, a mammoth or, like, a goat?
That would be more of a complete genetic question that I wouldn't actually know, because...
Come on, Matt.
My bad.
You're a scientist, Matt. You're supposed to know everything.
That is such an academic answer and not an internet answer. Like, I am now an official in this because I watched a YouTube video.
Yeah.
I will now break down the genetics of this.
Yeah. The funny thing what we've done with genetic engineering in plants is, which is kind of some of the examples and why it's so complex and things with the whole coming back, is they've tried to mix plants and make these hybrid plants to where you can grow things that have, like, grow underground, like a
tubers.
Carrots and whatnot growing around, with having small things like, or making it turn into like a broccoli carrot or something like that.
Up top.
Yeah. The problem is they end up doing, or even trying to make it grow, not necessarily a broccoli carrot, but even the hybrid of, like, trying to make more bigger carrots with smaller, like, actual leaves at the top parts of it, is the genetics never worked away and they always end up backwards. So if you try to make, like, these whole genes to make, like, small little leafy parts and big carrots, you end up with, like, this giant leaf and no carrot.
I'd just be interested to see, like, giant...
Science is hard.
Giant Venus flytraps brought back. Giant Venus flytrap versus 100 chicken raptors.
Who would win? Who would win?
See, I would just start
Tweet
like
us, let us
know.
know.
I would just start a giant fight club if I had, like, the power to do all this, just because I'm interested in seeing who would win in these fights. Because we see them on TV all the time. Like,
well, it's
Jurassic World's going to be full of dinosaurs fighting each other. So don't at me, because you would want to see stuff fight each other too. That's what happens in the wild.
Well, it's the funny thing is you bring that up, but if we took chicken raptors and we changed the word to dog, all of a sudden it's the most horrible thing in the world.
You're not wrong. And again, it goes back to, like, we attribute...
Cultural significance to animals based on where you are, because dogs mean something here.
Yeah.
They don't mean something in other places.
Yeah, that's why I don't care about the right rhinos, but I'd rather have dinosaur chickens.
And that's the other problem. Like, you wouldn't be able to have one governing body deciding what gets brought back, because all of these animals have different things. Like,
Well, according to the Accords, somebody always needs a governing body.
Oh, God, no. But, like, honestly, because if you think about it, like, just if you look at, like, food as a spectrum, right? Like, we don't eat horse. We see horse as being, like, a terrible thing we're not supposed to eat. But in other countries, they eat horse because it's a readily available meat as opposed to other things. Same thing with donkey, goat, dog. Like,
I would eat horse if offered to me.
I would too.
Yeah. My line is after horse.
I'm not
after
gonna,
horse, I'm good.
Based on everything I know, I'm not going to say we've never eaten horse.
We've probably eaten horse.
Yeah.
Or
brown cape. I'm pretty sure we've eaten horse once.
Yes.
And not known it.
Yes. I've eaten cow eyes. I've probably eaten horse. Like, all I'm saying is just that, like, cultures attribute different things to animals, different things to pets. Like, it's not the same. And so, like, when we go into, like, do we bring stuff back, it's going to be really hard to decide what to bring back on, like, a large global scale.
Yeah.
I want a pet sloth. Like a big, giant sloth.
That thing would be bigger, like...
Think bigger than our
than
house.
your roof. There's no
That's
way
fine.
it would, like, break your...
That's fine. I would live outside with it, and I would ride on its back, and it would sustain me.
I don't think it works like that.
Give me the white rhino before the giant sloth.
Which then leads into the, obviously, we can keep going on this for hours and hours, but then the whole question of, like, deep blue sea. What if we make creatures end up smarter than what they actually already are?
Then we deserve to die, as like evolution says.
Well, the funny thing about that movie is they were trying to cure, I believe it was Alzheimer's for it, and then they just made smart sharks.
Chomp chomp.
Ridiculous.
I love that movie.
I know.
It's so good.
I'm not saying the science in the movie is good. What I'm saying is the concepts of what they were doing.
So, back to Mr. Ian Malcolm. We're so preoccupied with whether or not we could, we didn't stop to think if we should.
Yes. So anyways, final thoughts so we can wrap this up because this has gone way longer.
Last year, I rewatched all of Jurassic Park movies. Jurassic Park 1 is the only one that holds up, and Jurassic World recently came out, and I did not enjoy it nearly as much on my second and third viewings of it. But, like, fucking dinosaurs are awesome. Dinosaurs are great. I want to get back to the effects of Jurassic Park 1 because I'm tired of all of the CG being really overly used. Thank you. I don't know. It just hits me like, I didn't think I was gonna talk, like, well, I always talk a lot, but like, my childhood. Like people talk about their childhoods and stuff. Jurassic Park definitely has like a really special place in my heart, and like I'm probably gonna be playing like that theme music over some of the pieces where we talk, like every time we reminisce about childhood, because like that theme music has like it like kicks in right away, and I just want to go watch that movie again, and I want to go watch it now.
Yeah, for me, like Jurassic Park just has like a spot in my childhood. It's one of the first movies that I remember like distinctly watching and remembering and like having conversations about. Like I literally remember the time with my grandma who's no longer with us. Like I remember like talking about the Samuel Jackson scene and being like, Grandma, like how much money and like her like just looking at me like I was just like the most naive kid in the world, and like those are like childhood memories.
But did she correct you?
She did, of course.
Okay.
Yeah. But it's just like the effects are amazing. Like the story is like simple, and it's has funny moments. It has like those moments of like kind of awe. The practical effects are amazing. I don't like the other two after it. I think Jurassic World is fine if they just didn't do it so like monster movie-y, where we're just like waiting to see like the Verizon Saurus or whatever they call it in the thing. If they just would have stuck it with like more of Chris Pratt and like the baby and his baby raptor homie, I think that would have been a lot different. I'm excited for the next one. Like I'm gonna go see it for sure. I don't think there's any movie out that's like Jurassic Park that has like this cultural impact. It's like really weird like how the first one is so good and the rest of them were terrible, but they just keep making them.
I'm telling you, it's a weird thing is they keep showing up.
Yeah, they just
because
keep showing up.
Dinosaurs.
Basically, is all it is because
Yeah.
I'm only going because dinosaurs. So, yeah, and then like all of like the genetic engineering questions are fun to talk about. Jurassic Park 4 or Jurassic Park 6 Fight Clip.
And if you do like these deep conversations, check out our Patreon, because I think all of our Patreon review episodes have had something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. And if Jurassic Park 5 is terrible, holla at me. I'll pitch Jurassic Park 6 with Beast Wars and Dinobots. And I think it would be completely better than what we might get in this fifth one.
Sadly, I can't argue.
Okay.
I guess my final thoughts before we get to some of all the fan but why those, because apparently this is nostalgia for everybody else. This is still my favorite movie. It will always be my favorite movie. And still be the only movie I ever own, because buying movies is dumb. Just get a better memory. And if you don't like it, then you should train your children to do it, because you can do that, apparently. Or just genetically engineer them to have great memories. Gattaca. But no, dinosaurs. I love dinosaurs. I think it's great. I still own Curiosity Stream to watch dinosaurs, so whether it's parallel universes or dinosaurs, that's about it.
Yeah, that's accurate.
So yeah, I've actually followed and seen a lot of the shows they've made and some of the recent stuff they did with all this reverse engineering and how they're doing it and what they want to. I think it's great. But I don't care for the other movies. I hate the third one. I feel like the third one ruined my teens. That's how bad that one is.
It's really bad.
It's really bad.
It's really bad.
Even like the big dinosaur fight scenes aren't good because you just want the movie to be over by the time they happen.
Yes. The only good thing that came out of that was flying dinosaurs, and by that time I was like, I'm already like over this.
Like, just kill them all, flying dinosaurs. Kill them all.
Yes. I'm sorry, William Macy. But no, so yeah.
It sounds so weird without the H. William H. Macy. William Macy.
That's the move that drove him to Shameless.
Oh my god. Okay, go.
But yeah, so let's get to some of these fan but why those now. Alrighty. At Dr. Ragnarok, Jurassic Park is a movie that reminds us of two important lessons. The first one is that you don't mess with the natural order of things, but the biggest takeaway is to enjoy the little things in life, which is implied by John Williams' score. 1, the score is amazing. 2,
Amplified
by John Williams. I'm reading this on a tiny screen. Okay, and the next one is by Etzer Ash. Basically, Ash, one of our lovely bloggers, and one of the hosts of one of our new podcasts, Safari Zone, which also sounds like could possibly be part of Jurassic Park, which I guess is Pokemon, the fantasy place of Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
It was a movie that kickstarted my love of special effects. I remember seeing it and then consuming every possible piece of media on how they did it so I could make my own dinosaurs someday. Very accurate. At Joe Fro, or Fru, I'm going to apologize now if I mispronounce your name. By this point, you should already expect it. Saw it in the theater, about jumped out of my seat when the goat leg fell onto the car. 25 years later, it can still scare the crap out of me. Where's the goat? Not unless they figure out how to open the doors. Turn it off. Turn it off.
And these are quotes from the movie.
There's also some awesome humor to counterbalance the scares. When you gotta go, I'm always on the lookout for future ex, Miss Malcolm.
That's actually a really good line.
Women inherit the earth. I really hate that man. No wonder you're extinct. These are all great quotes. Actually, this movie does not scare me because I have actually memorized every single thing of this movie.
I'm not surprised.
I actually used to, when I was a kid, I used to play it and I would close my eyes and see if I could time it right. But I also do that with a lot of times.
That is such a Matt thing.
Well, I actually used to do that when I used to drive across country to see if I could time miles. I actually got it down to where I could do it within 30 seconds. Where I could say if we needed to go 250 miles, how long would it take us? At 3CTA Philly 8.
Matthew M.
Yeah. It was such a wonderful film. Story, special effects, suspense, the whole package terrified me when I saw it as a kid in theaters. At CJ Wright Things, it was probably my first glimpse at the sheer scope that some films can accomplish. The first view of the park, accompanied by that wonderful score, moves me every time. It also, along with Independence Day and the first Star Wars, sparked my love for science fiction. By the way, Independence Day did come out 3 years after.
Yeah, thanks to this movie for giving us Jeff Goldblum in Independence Day because he's awesome
Yes. At Green Eggs and Cam, JP is one of my favorite movies of all time, and I tired my dad out of it because I literally watched the VHS every day as a kid. It sparked my dino phase. Everybody apparently has a dino phase. That's what scientists say. That so many kids have, as he says here. The fact that it holds up so well is a testament to how amazing it truly is. It actually does hold up really well.
Yup. Geografess Andy.
At Geografess Andy, even though the second one is getting a bit of a pasting at the moment.
Even though the second one is getting a bit of a pacing at the moment, I really like it. It's a really weird mix of good ideas and bad ones. I agree with you, Andy.
I don't agree with your writing.
That's a complete sentence using actual
Getting
words.
a bit of a pasting at the moment.
Yeah, that means that it's being knocked on. Like, people are shitting on it.
I'd rather say shit on.
Well, he didn't, and he used his words correctly. You just got thrown off. Thank you for your but why, though,
But if we
Andy.
drive 3 hours, I can tell you how long it's going to take us.
Oh, my God.
At 5 Meats, I was a huge dino mark as a kid. Jurassic Park was the first time I felt I was watching real dinos, like really, really, really real dinos. Also, might have been the first time a movie made me emotional in the first welcome dino scene to the last ruled the earth shot.
And he gave us pictures. That's really cool. Also,
yeah, that opening
Adrian,
scene is like really amazing when they get out of the car.
It really is. But Adrian, I'm going to assume Mark is the wrestling term?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. 5 Meats is also a great person who loves wrestling.
At Dr. Filter was one of the only legitimate scares of my life. In a drive-in, in a station wagon, when the T-Rex attacks the kids, sent me to the front seat of the car. One of my fondest movies going experiences. I've also seen this in a drive-in.
Yeah, I could imagine that, sitting in a car and seeing kids get attacked in a car.
Yeah, they get attacked in cars pretty often in this movie.
This is definitely a horror movie.
Yeah.
Was there any else?
I'm kind of sad that I get to go see this in theater. I mean, obviously I wasn't born when this movie came out.
Yeah, you can't talk about it.
Yeah, you're right. Sorry. I'll stop. Dino Chicken Fight Club.
And that's all for our But Why Though. Thank you for everybody that thing, and hopefully you all enjoyed Jurassic Park as much as I did. And if you don't, I'm sorry for you. Kate, get us out of here.
So everybody, just so you know, if you want to check out all of the other podcasts on our site, go to butwhythoughpodcast.com, as well as check out all the articles we have going there. We're really building out a community, so if you're listening and you want to write for us, just let us know via Twitter at butwhythoughpc, or go ahead and send us an email, info@butwhythoughpodcast.com. And as always, please rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast on whatever you listen to. Really helps other people find us. And you can find me at omemithrandir on Twitter. Adrian?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at superreese93, SUPERRUIZ93.
Matt?
Shoota.
Oh, such a clever girl.
Called you a girl.
They're all girls.
Yep.